Most mammalian species have some color vision. Many species of birds, fish, insects, humans, and old world monkeys all have very good color vision, but some mammals, such as cats, cannot discriminate wavelengths well. Most mammalian species have at least a dichromatic color vision, which includes two classes of cone pigments. The introduction of photopigment genes into adult mice enabled them to discriminate colors. There is a continuum of color vision capabilities among mammalian species, and it ranges from excellent trichromatic color vision, which humans have, to robust dichromatic color vision, which dogs and pigs have, to feeble dichromatic color vision, which is found in the domestic cat, and lastly, minimal color vision, which the owl, monkey, and raccoon have. Women are less likely than men to have color deficiency because if one of their X chromosomes has a defective photopigment gene, the other X is likely fine. A woman may carry slightly different genes for the long wavelength photopigment on her two X chromosomes and have four different kinds of cones, and in this case, that would be considered tetrachromat. Some retinal ganglion cells and parvocellular LGN cells show spectral opponency. Most ganglion cells and cells in the parvocellular layer of the LGN fire in response to some wavelengths and are inhibited in response to some others. A spectrally opponent cell is a visual receptor cell that has opposite firing responses to different regions of the spectrum. Each spectrally opponent ganglion cell receives input from two or three different kinds of cones through bipolar cells. Connections from at least one type of cone are excitatory, and those from at least one other type are inhibitory. Spectrally opponent ganglion cells record differences in stimulation of different populations of cones. Some visual cortical cells and regions appear to be specialized for color perception. Most important role of color is denoting which parts of a complex image belong to which object of the image. Some spectrally opponent cortical cells contribute to the perception of color. Adding and subtracting outputs of spectrally opponent ganglion cells can yield cortical cells that are perceptually opponent. Spectral responses of these cells correspond to the wavelengths of the principal hues. V4 is particularly rich in color-sensitive cells, and it is important for color constancy and discrimination from background. Perception of visual motion is analyzed by a special system that includes cortical area V5. Some retinal ganglion cells respond preferentially to a certain direction of motion of objects. Motion is analyzed by the cortex, partly in areas close to those that control eye movements. The many cortical areas are organized into two major streams: the ventral processing stream, which takes care of visual identification of objects, and the dorsal processing stream, which focuses on the location of objects and guided movement towards the object. Optic ataxia is difficulty using vision to reach and manipulate objects. The anterior part of the dorsal stream includes mirror neurons, which are neurons that are active both when an individual makes a particular movement and when the individual sees another individual make that same movement. Visual neuroscience can be applied to alleviate some visual deficiencies. 500,000 people in the U.S. are blind. Myopia is a condition that is characterized by nearsightedness, so the inability to focus the retina image of objects that are far away. It can develop if the eyeball is too long and may be attributed to indoor lighting. Amblyopia is reduced visual acuity of one eye. It is not caused by optical or retinal impairments, and it can be caused by the misalignment of the two eyes, also known as a lazy eye. Macular degeneration is the progressive loss of central vision due to the death or obstruction of photoreceptors in the retina, and there are two types: dry MD and the more severe wet MD.